All right, so deep water culture checking pH. Disclaimer, oh, Massachusetts, this is all completely legal. There's only four here. I'm allowed six. Well, technically there's five. I forgot about that guy. Um, so yeah, pH is the acidity of the water that our plants live in. They don't live in soil in deep water culture. If you don't know what a deep water culture is, check out my other video, deep water culture for beginners. It just lives in a big old bucket of water. Now, definitely going to want gloves. Going to want a pH probe. This here is pH down. I've also got pH up back there. You will need both, but I'm fairly certain that these guys will only need down. Um, you're going to need a syringe. This is just an oral syringe. Got it from Walmart. Um, always dump your nutrients into a separate container that you can then pull out of with the syringe. That way you're not getting anything that's on this syringe in your big old thing of nutrients, because then you have a whole contaminated bottle, you have to start from scratch. Whereas if I get a contaminated cup, that's okay, go pour another cup. So I'm gonna fill this up to 1/2 mil. I'm pretty sure that's what I'm gonna need for each of these, but I'm just preemptively filling that up. So take your meter, turn it on. I apologize for the terrible quality video using a webcam. So open up your bucket, stick the probe in. It's going to even out right now. It's reading 6.3, which is within range. It's a little high. I prefer it down by 5.5, but it's okay. As long as your water is anywhere between 5.5 and 6.5, you're fucking golden. But you do need to check and adjust, because even though your water was perfect, this is at 6.2 pH. So I'm going to put in 1/2 mil. Now, inside of here, there is an air stone that is making the water bubble. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to adjust that air stone. It's right in the middle. I'll put this lid back on while I check the other plants, and by the time I get back around to it, hopefully that bubbling has mixed in the pH down properly. So with these guys, they've got bigger net pots. It is, because of that, it's easier to mix the pH up into it, or pH down into it, but you also have to take the whole thing out because I can't just stick the probe in there. So this one's reading 6.1. Certain strains, it's all dependent upon the strain itself. I prefer lower pH or higher pH, but as a base rule of thumb, for hydroponics anyway, 5.5 to 6.5 is all you need. Now, with this, because it's so large, I can just sort of in and out and in and out, and water falls down to the bottom and it all gets mixed in. And I can get a pretty accurate reading right now, unlike with this one, but it's got the smaller net pot. This is something I do once a day. Just make sure the pH is within range. Sometimes it'll rise very rapidly, and all of a sudden you're at 7.5 when you want to be at 5.5. So this one's reading at 5.4. I overshot it a little bit, it seems. It's still evening out. It hasn't quite given me a complete reading yet. Nope, it went up to 5.5. But even 5.3 or 5.4 would still be acceptable, because that's not super high up there. It's not like, well, super low, I should say. Anything within 2 points of the range, in my opinion, is fine. Definitely would prefer it to be 5.3 than 6.8. And that is 5.5 exactly, so she's fucking perfect. Now we're gonna do the back. So the beauty of this is, if you overshoot it, you're still going to be fine because you can always just add a little pH up. I don't like adding pH up, but that's why we have it, you know? Getting some nice new growth on this guy. We got clones in from someone we actually met online, and those clones just came in the mail overnight, which is a little weird, but worked out well. And this one didn't really take to the transplant too well, but she seems to be coming back. These ones are looking fucking great, but that one's a little So this one was at 6, even 6.0, and it is still going down by the looks of it, but it's just resting right now at 5.6, and it's still at 5.6. This is my least favorite part of all of this. Just waiting for my meter to tell me it's done reading, because it takes an accurate reading. This is very good, but it said 5.6 for the last 30 seconds. There it is, 5.5 even, and it's done reading. With these HANA meters, if you see there's a little like hourglass symbol. When that hourglass symbol is there, it means it's taking a reading currently. When that goes away, that is its final reading, and that's what your pH is. They make good, cheap-ass meters. That thing's 40 bucks, I think. Comes with calibration solution, cleaning solution. It's good stuff. Good company. Our EC meter is also HANA, and we will get to that at the end of this. So with this, because it's already above 6 and it's rising, I'm just going to take it out. I don't need a perfect reading from that because regardless of what it's at, I'm only adding a half mil at a time as to not overshoot. Sorry, little plant, I squished you. You're all good. Plants are very resilient. Ooh, my hair's all fucked up. Nice. So that one, sitting at 6.1, we're going to add a little more. And because that is the last I will be doing, I'm pulling the syringe all the way out, and I'm just going to use that to stir it in. I don't want to splash myself again. But that should be the last I need of that. Well, I spoke too soon and overshot it. It's sitting pretty at 5.2. So, what we're going to do here is pull up some of that water in the syringe and put it back in. as to just sort of rinse out the inside, because you never want to touch pH down and pH up together. If fizzes, makes a volcano chemical reaction. You don't want that. So I'm going to go around back to my workstation and grab a little bit of pH up I had prepared for just such an occasion. It's blue rather than orange, very easy to identify and keep track of. And we're just going to add just the teensiest little bit, just like that. Now, I'm going to stir that in and try again. .3. Keep going. Go 2 more points. If I can get this to 5.5, that'd be nice. Hmm, 5.4, that's good enough for me. So she's going back in her home. This little lady who's going to get tested. Well, that's at 5.1, so I also overshot that. So we're going to give her a little bit of this. About 1/3 of a mil. And, yeah. We'll be back to test that in a second, but I will grab the EC meter and just give you the rundown of that. So this is an EC meter by HANA, same company. It tests electrical conductivity, which is what we use instead of parts per million. So you turn it on, stick it in the water, and it'll give you a reading. Right now, this is reading 0.76 EC, and it gives me the temperature of 68 degrees, which is perfect for the water temperature. Now, EC you should have a range. It all depends on the nutrients that you use. 50 to 70, or well, 50 to 80 is good for where we are currently in our growth cycle. It should never exceed like 1.5. That's like very late. Like plants are massive and they're flowering, and you're adding all kinds of boosters and terpenes and shit into it. That's 1.5 is the max. pH is sitting at 5.6. Let's see if it's really that, because it takes almost a full minute to get an accurate reading, which is fine. Yeah, that's about it. Just check and adjust, check and adjust. Try not to overshoot, but if you have to, it's always remediable. 5.6. EC is not so important every single day. I check the pH every day. I don't check the EC every day. The EC should be the same. I check EC when mixing nutrients, when they're about to go in the bucket. Like every week when we change the nutrients, we check the EC, make sure it's within range. But beyond that, there's no really need for it. In the middle of the summer, we use this as a thermometer. But yeah, thanks for watching. Hope it helps you out. I'll have a better quality video next time.